what has the past 2 years been for you and your family?
First, thanks for having me on your show. It's a great privilege and honored. And also thanks for your words. It's been a devastating 2 years. Our family was broken on the October 7th when we lost both our parents. And it's been a very sad day today as we mark the second anniversary. And it's been very sad 2 years because of all the life that were lost. If it's in Israel, if it's in Gaza. I was just hearing your reports from Khan Younis and from the Gaza Strip, and it's devastating. And we must bring an end. We must bring an end to the bloodshed and create a different reality for both people, for the Israelis and Palestinians. And this is what I'm doing day and night, envisioning a different future for both people.
Well, you've suffered an unimaginable loss, and yet I don't sense any anger. I don't sense any bitterness from you, only the strength to keep fighting, to push for dialogue, to push for reconciliation. Where does that come from? How do you find the courage not to be angry and to push for peace?
That's the legacy of my parents. That's just how they raised and educated me, that I have the agency to change the future, that I shouldn't be anchored or trenched in the past and in tragedies, but I should always aim to create a better future and a better world. And my mom was a very creative and talented artist. She was painting mandalas and ceramic and other arts. And she gave us, all the 5 siblings, she gave us the courage to dream, and she was supporting us to fulfill our dreams. And if it's in business, if it's in the family, and now if it's by making peace, a lasting peace between the Israelis and Palestinians, in order to make my parents and all the other who lost their life in the last 2 years a sacrifice for peace and not victims of war.
Maoz, I was reading your previous interviews. When you talk about the loss of your parents, you also say, I have a brother in this process. Talk about who you mean when you talk about your brother, yeah, and the kind of pain both of you have endured.
Yeah, so just 3 days after October 7th, I received a message from Aziz Abu Sarah, a Palestinian from East Jerusalem, that I met briefly a decade ago, and he was just sharing his condolences and his empathy to me and my family. And I answered him immediately with a broken heart, and a few days after we spoke on the phone, and then on a Zoom, and then we met and we forged a brotherhood. Aziz lost his brother after he was tortured to death in the Israeli prison in the first Intifada, early 90. And we've been working very hard all over the world, and of course here in Palestine, in Israel, to form a coalition of Israelis and Palestinians, individual and organization, a coalition of peace, of reconciliation, and we are creating hope in time of darkness, in time of despair, creating hope by envisioning a better future for both people and acting to make this future into reality.
Maoz, what is your message to the Palestinians who continue to live under Israeli occupation, who've lost their homes, they've lost their schools, they've lost their entire communities, they've also lost hope?
We lost humanity. We just lost humanity, and unfortunately, not in the first time in the human civilization. And first, that I'm not seeing myself any different or divided from my Palestinians, brothers and sisters. We are all part of humanity. We are all the children of Abraham, our biblical father, and we have a lot in common. And it's time to break the cycle of violence, of fear, the trap that we've been living within for the last century, and to start working together. And I can tell you to everyone in Gaza that there is a growing peace movement within Israel that is ashamed of what's happening in our name in Gaza to you. And we are doing everything we can to call for international intervention to replace our government and our regime. And the Jewish people also, I can tell you that we proved it in the past that we can rise from a genocide, we can rise from the ashes, and so will the Palestinian. And I
Well,
believe and know that both Palestinian and Israelis will live in equality, we live in justice, we live in peace between the river to the sea, and it's now time for us to prove it.
Maoz, you've said the Israeli government is really no different from Hamas. Explain to me what you mean. And my final question, we're running out of time. Have you yourself forgiven Hamas for the killing of your parents?
Yeah, so both Hamas and the Israeli government are extremist organizations that are willing to sacrifice their own people if for the Israeli government, my parents and the Israeli hostages, and from Hamas, the civilian in Gaza. And while they are sacrificing their own people, they are dehumanizing the other and making war crimes. So for me, both, there is a lot of similarity between Hamas and the Israeli government. And I didn't only choose to forgive Hamas. I also choose to forgive the Israeli government, who I'm held accountable for the death of my parents. And I choose forgiveness not because they care, not because they listen, because I want to free myself from bitterness, from anger, and from seeking revenge. And by choosing forgiveness, I was able to save myself from the destiny Hamas and the Israeli government choose for me to live in reality of pain, of a vengeance, of bloodshed. And by choosing forgiveness, I become a free man.
Yeah.
And I able to live my life. I cry a few times a day, but I'm as optimistic as ever. And I know that like all other conflicts in their history, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is going to end.
Where we're going to leave it on that powerful note, and we so appreciate you sharing your heartbreak and sharing your hopes for the future with us. Maoz Inon, thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show.